What's up, guys? This is Chaz and Charlie, and today I want to discuss smoking weed, addiction, dependency, or habit. Now, since I've created the channel, I have been shocked to really see the pushback on whether weed is addictive or not. You know, nobody debates whether alcohol is addictive. And now we don't even debate whether your phone is addictive or whether hard drugs are addictive. Whether even food is addictive. But why such a debate on whether weed is addictive? I've heard people say that it's not addictive, it's a habit. They say you can't be addicted to it, but you can be dependent on it. And I feel like those three words can kind of be used interchangeably. You know, they say habits are hard to break. If somebody has an alcohol addiction, they usually can also say they have a dependency on alcohol. And when you look up the definition to all three words, they kind of, in a way, say the same thing. People may say because addictions, there's a physical dependency on it, so that makes it addictive, and that really is a flawed fallacy. That's a flawed reasoning on if weed is addictive or not. We have things like, okay, we know that alcohol and many hard drugs can become physically addictive. You need them in order to, your body begins to become dependent on them. Even when you try to quit, you have to take small doses to wean your body off. So, yeah, but there's many other addictions that are not physically dependent. You know, we are in an age of people having porn addictions, having sex addictions, food addictions. You know, you can have a exercise addiction. These things aren't necessarily physically dependent. You don't need them to physically survive, and you don't have to wean yourself off. It's not a physically dependent thing. So are they also not addictive? Just a habit? Just dependent? I feel like when we start saying, oh, it's not addictive, it's dependent, or it's a habit, we're trying to justify ourselves and the reason we smoke weed on a daily basis. Now, this channel is created for people who have recognized they possibly have an addiction or issue with quitting weed. That's why it's called Quitting Mary. I don't think anybody who smokes weed is going to get addicted to it. I'm not saying weed itself is just anybody that smokes, you will be addicted. That's stupid, because there are many other things. There are people who watch porn who's not addicted. There's people who drink alcohol and not addicted. Alcohol, I do occasionally still drink, but I can quit. I cannot drink and be okay. I can go weeks without drinking. I don't need alcohol on a daily basis. I can do with or without it. So just because I can do without it, is that for me to say alcohol is not addictive? So people say I can quit weed anytime I want to. It's not addictive. So we're judging what something is addictive based on your personal tolerance for it. And that's, people who comment like that, I feel like, maybe you have a issue with addiction, you're trying to justify it. If you don't, why are you commenting anyway? But I mean, that's anything. I never liked pills. I've taken pills. I didn't care for them. I didn't like the 5-minute rush of high. I never cared to continue taking them. So should I say that it's not addictive? Because me personally, I could stop anytime. I never got hooked on them. That's You're basing something based on your personal stance, your personal tolerance. Weed is definitely addictive. If we're going to say that, then we can argue that alcohol is not addictive. It's just a habit. It's dependency, and like the old saying, they say habits are hard to break. So whether you want to say it's addictive or it's not addictive or it's just a habit or it's dependent, if you have a hard time quitting or not smoking on a daily basis, you do have an addiction issue with weed. And people do have addictive personalities, which means they can take something or anything and make it addictive. Just because you have an addictive quality doesn't mean anything you take, you're going to get addicted to it. Weed may be your thing. Liquor may be your thing. Food may be your thing. Exercise may be your thing. We all choose our different vices. And weed specifically, I think there's so much pushback on it because people feel like it's the lesser of the evils. Weed is a happy drug. You laugh, it chills you out, it relaxes you. There's no apparent physical side effects. Hold on, guys. People can smoke for 20 years and not ravage your life. A lot of drugs, whether it's alcohol or drugs in powder forms, a lot of times you can only take those for, you get 5-10 years, and it's a good chance you can lose your life to them. Whereas we know weed doesn't necessarily, I'm not sure, there are rare cases of weed doing so. On average, you're not going to die smoking weed. But I think because we feel like, I hate when dogs do this. And because we feel like, it's not obviously killing us, it's not a big deal if we smoke every day for a long period of time. And again, I don't demonize weed. If you smoke occasionally, every now and then, nothing wrong with that. More power to you. If you're ill, have autoimmune issues, and need to smoke to get better, I have no issue with that. Do that. I sympathize, especially with like children, who have issues, and kids are sick, and a lot of the drugs and chemo doesn't work, but things like CBD and weed has done wonders for children. I'm an advocate if that's the case. But I'm talking about people who smoke weed every day, all day, for the simple fact of getting high. And people may say, I smoke weed all day, it doesn't hurt me. I can work, I make money. I'm going to argue, if you smoke every day, there are some negative side effects that you're experiencing. I don't believe you smoking every day, you've been dependent on weed, is a good thing. Not saying you can't live a decent or a moderate or live basic life doing so. Are you living your best life? I'm going to argue that you are not. So, people say I can quit anytime that I want to. I was the biggest spokesperson. I would always say I can quit anytime I want to. I'm going to choose to quit after I've smoked enough weed. I can. And most people that say that also be like, I can stop at any time and start back. I can take tolerance breaks. First of all, why do you think you should take a tolerance break? Obviously, deep down there are some issues with you depending on weed on a daily basis. And why don't you just fully quit altogether? I think when you quit and go back, there's still some remnants of a dependency issue that you kind of don't want to acknowledge. So whether it's a habit or you're dependent on it, which I don't, again, see that's that much of a difference than having an addiction to it. They're all just different words for the same thing. We can agree that that's not good still. If you're dependent on something, that's not good. If you have a habit of doing something that you can't stop, that's not good. Okay? And the whole, like I said, addiction debate on there's no, again, you say your body is not physically dependent on it and there's no harsh withdrawal effects. Okay, there's no withdrawal effects there's no withdrawal issues with porn. There's no withdrawal issues with food. There's no withdrawal issues with your phone. Many will not argue that obviously your phone is an addiction. And we can say, I mean, there's your body doesn't need a phone. It's all in your brain. It's all in your head. And with weed, it's more of a mental thing. So if your brain is mentally addicted to it, it is some type of physical dependency that you're requiring, but it's all mental. So, we say just because with alcohol, just because your body itself doesn't need it, and it's not so much mental, more dealing with your liver and your lungs. We're not acknowledging that your brain is your body too. So, and many addictions, many habits, many dependencies are mental, and weed is definitely one of them. And I think weed is one of the most deceptive vices it is, because people think it's not a big deal, it's not an issue, it's not that bad. People will argue you up and down that smoking weed is not addictive. So guys, what do you think? Do you think weed is addictive? Do you think it's a habit? Do you think it's just dependency? What word do you choose? Do you feel like you have to be physically addicted to it you have to be physically dependent on it for it to be addictive? Or can you just be mentally dependent on it? And does that not qualify as addiction as well? Again, this is a spicy topic within the addiction community. People say weed addiction is not a real thing. But let me know, guys, what you feel. Until next time, like, subscribe, share. Most importantly, comment below. And remember, guys, we are all in this together. Do you think it's time for you to quit cannabis? Well, I encourage you to make that transition to a new life, free from the chains of weed addiction. It's up to you to make that change, but sometimes we may need a little guided help. So I created a 30-day guided journal to quit cannabis. This journal helps you go through a 30-day process to create a new life. I am a strong believer of people helping themselves, but without being told what to do like a child. But we do need to be steered in the right direction sometimes. Each day focuses on a thought or idea for that day and prompts you to write down your own thoughts and your own reasons. This will help you understand yourself and your addiction. By the end of the 30 days, you will see a clear path on how to create a new life of marijuana sobriety. If you need the motivation to take control like I did, please visit Amazon to purchase the 30-day guided journal to quit cannabis. Your future self will thank you.